Welcome to the Cryptosphere. This is Cryptogenic coming at you. Today is Tuesday, March 30th, 2:01 p.m. here in sunny California. We're going to take a look at this Bitcoin chart to try to get a feel for where Bitcoin is in its cycle, because Bitcoin is still king in this market, by the way. And if we can get an idea of where Bitcoin is and where Bitcoin is going, that will give us a good idea of where the market is and where the market is going. I want to come at this a little bit differently today. What I'm going to do is a Fibonacci retracement of the last bull cycle of Bitcoin that goes back from July of 2017 all the way until December of 2017 when it hit its all-time high of $19,628. So once I throw that on, now we can kind of look at everything else that Bitcoin did after that to see where it is in that Fibonacci cycle. And what we find is that Fibonacci retracement, throwing that Fibonacci retracement tool on Bitcoin, gives us two targets for the top of this cycle for Bitcoin. The first is $66,126, and the second is $76,976. So I believe that in this cycle, Bitcoin is going to make its way up to somewhere between $66,000 and $76,000 before it tops out, okay? Now, if we want to get a feel for where it's going to go in the short, looking at this is a midterm projection for me. I think in the next 4 to 6 weeks, at the max, we'll see Bitcoin finish this progression and then probably go into a real correction. But where is Bitcoin going in the short term? Well, if we look at this chart here, we see a couple of things. This is a daily chart, and what I see in the daily is bearish divergence that goes all the way back to January 7th. We are seeing consistently lower highs in the RSI, but higher highs in the price action. Simultaneous with that, we're seeing each of these explosions of Bitcoin have been smaller and smaller and smaller. 140% roughly. This one was only 93% roughly, 98%. And then this one was even smaller. It was only 44%. So we're seeing diminishing returns on these explosions, and that simply means that the price action is catching up with the RSI. It means that the decline we're seeing in the RSI is beginning to bear itself out in the price action. So what I see happening in the short term, just kind of looking at this chart, is this RSI has a little bit of a ways to go before it hits this trend line. This price action also has a little ways to go before it hits this trend line. I believe there's probably going to be something of a concurrent reaching of this trend line here in the price action with the reaching of this trend line here in the RSI, at which point over the next couple of days, 3 days, maybe Bitcoin is probably going to come down here to try to meet this 50-day EMA, and meeting that 50-day EMA probably will be somewhere around this support and resistance level here. I can imagine something like that. So I think, Bitcoin would do that before it kind of takes off and moves up towards the next level. It's been bouncing nicely off this 50-day EMA, and so I don't think it'll break down beneath that 50-day EMA and then start making its way down to try to check in with the 100 and the 200-day EMA until it goes into its real correction. All right? So, back to this Fibonacci, we see that this is the entire cycle of Bitcoin, and it's coming to the end of its cycle. I think it's going to top out somewhere between $66,000 and $76,000, and then it's going to go into a real correction. Now, if we stop and take a step back and consider the entire market cycle, not just the Bitcoin cycle, but the entire crypto market cycle, the first thing that happens is Bitcoin goes through this. It breaks out, breaks its previous all-time high as it did here in December of 2020, and then explodes towards a new all-time high. And this pressing towards its new all-time high actually moves it to the end of its Fibonacci sequence. Well, the next thing that happens in the market cycle is that Ethereum goes through this same process, blasts through its all-time high, and starts moving towards the end of its Fibonacci sequence. So if we use this Fibonacci sequence as a blueprint for understanding what other assets in this market are going to do, what would that look like? Well, first, if we start with Ethereum, if we throw the same Fibonacci tool on Ethereum, going back to its previous all-time high, where is Ethereum in its market cycle? Well, We've broken through the all-time high, but we still have a ways to go. Now, if, as in with Bitcoin, if we see the top of Bitcoin being between the 3.618 and the 4.236, where would that put Ethereum? Well, that would mean that Ethereum's all-time high is going to be somewhere between 4,400 and 5,100. So that is what we're looking at for Ethereum. If this way of looking at it is correct, if Ethereum actually follows in Bitcoin's footsteps, what we'll see with Ethereum is another 140 to 177%. This is why I'm not buying Ethereum right now. Why? Because Ethereum only has about another 140 to 170% in the tank. It always happens that Ethereum explodes beyond its all-time high and starts pressing toward a new all-time high before the other altcoins do. But what happens next in the market, I'm sure we're going to see an explosion of Ethereum as it keeps moving upward. But what happens next in this market is large caps such as XRP and Litecoin follow close behind. So looking at Litecoin, if we run the same methodology and we go from the swing low to the swing high, where does that put Litecoin by the end of this year? And where is Litecoin right now in its cycle? So as you can see, in its cycle, Litecoin hasn't even approached its all-time high yet. But that would, if we put the final destination of Litecoin between the 3.618, 1278, and the 4.236, 1489, this is the destination of Litecoin. Litecoin's destination then would be between 550% and 663%. Much better than what we're looking at with Ethereum. In other words, the fact that Litecoin has lingered, the fact that it's a laggard, is a good thing for us. Not to mention, we're going to get those free Spark tokens once they announce that snapshot. I mean, in terms of percentages, Litecoin is not number 1 or number 2 or even in the top 5 or even in the top 10 on my list in terms of percentages this year. However, I'm going to get those free Spark tokens, and that's why I continue to hold Litecoin. Well, let's look at another one. How about BCH? We're going to come back to XRP, don't worry, but let's take a look at BCH. Let's throw the same Fibonacci tool on BCH and see where this takes us. If we look at this for BCH, this takes us to between $5,030 and $5,759. So that is the cycle for BCH. Not bad, huh? Now, the percentages are getting better and better, aren't they? If we look at this in terms of percentages for BCH, we are talking about anywhere from 853 to 992%. So basically 10x for BCH where it's sitting right now. How about Dash? Let's just take a look at Dash. Throw this Fibonacci on here. We're going to skip the scam wick. Now let's see where that takes us. Way behind in our cycle right now, aren't we? Way behind. And that takes us to anywhere between 5,552 and 6,453. In terms of percentages, what are we looking at? Anywhere between 2,311 and 2,715%. And then the last one I'll look at is XRP. Of course, I know you were all waiting for that. So let's go to the bottom of this bull run, swing low to the swing high. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. All right, let's see where we're going with XRP. Anywhere between $8.34 and $11.43, which is anywhere from 1,400 to 2,000% basically. Now, of course, I think XRP is going to do a lot better than this. But if we just... Oops, I'm sorry. I did that wrong, didn't I? Get rid of that. Sorry. I gypped you. I gypped you on XRP. That was the 2.618, not the 3.618. If we do this again, we're looking at anywhere between 1948 and 2,285% on XRP. Wow. Pretty crazy, right? Pretty crazy, right? Now, does this mean that this is absolutely going to happen? Is this guaranteed? No, it's not guaranteed. None of it's guaranteed. This isn't guaranteed either. Matter of fact, the thing we need to understand is that not all coins in the market are going to do this. Not all coins in the market are going to finish their Fibonacci retracements and find their way all the way to the top of their Fibonacci cycles. Not all assets are going to do that. However, some of them are. And the ones that are, number one, we cannot know for sure. None of us has a crystal ball. But some of them are. And what we want to do is to have a well-diversified portfolio so that the ones that do reach the end of their Fibonacci cycles, we are in those assets. And some of them are going to go far beyond their Fibonacci cycles. We want to be in those assets. And some of them are going to not even, get past the 2.618 or even the 1.618. That's okay. We're going to have some of those too. We're not going to be right on everything. We're not going to be able to time our entries and exits perfectly correct on everything. But we are going to do our best to make sure that we have a well-diversified portfolio and that we've done our best to do our research to determine which assets have the best chance of reaching to the end of their Fibonacci cycles so that we can profit maximally on those assets. And that's where we are right now. So to summarize everything, Bitcoin is not done yet. Bitcoin's correction is coming. I mean, the RSI is telegraphing it. The RSI has been telegraphing a real Bitcoin correction since early January this year. And not only that, I mean, XRP is telegraphing its breakout. If you look at the growth in the RSI, the bullishness in the MACDs, and you look at the progression where we're going, XRP is telegraphing its great breakout. And then when we look at these charts, these BTC charts, LTC, BTC, we're seeing the same thing in XRP BTC. We're seeing the same thing in BCH BTC. All of these charts against Bitcoin are telegraphing their breakouts. I mean, look at this LTC BTC chart. We've got hidden bullish divergence in the RSI that goes all the way back to July of 2018, meaning this thing has been winding up since July of 2018, and this thing is getting ready to explode. And so when we start seeing bullish divergence in all of these charts against BTC, XRP BTC, BCH BTC, LTC BTC, what that means is that all of these assets are warming up. They're winding up, and they've been warming up and winding up for quite some time. They are ready to rock. They're ready to explode, and that means BTC's run is coming to an end soon. And the altcoins are going to explode. The only question is, are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Well, let's go. So with that being said, make it your aim to sleep in peace every night, wake in joy every morning, and walk in love every day. This is Cryptogenic, signing out.